Welcome in, one and all. My name is Regan, aka Pink Demon. This is another Fresh Shave First Impressions album review, and today I'm wearing my Bunnings hat. And I love going to Bunnings. For anyone international, they're our main hardware store in Australia. I like going to the outdoors section because I'm a bit of a green thumb, love my gardening. You could say that I love plants. Really love my plants. I like being around plants. I just love the smell of plants, the feel of plants. Anyway, completely unrelated, let's have a look at Frozen Soul with their new album, No Place of Warmth. And at just 8 years old, this band has already collaborated with Trivium and Dying Fetus and Ghost, rest in peace, on their last album. And on this album, they are collaborating with My Chemical Romance, Machine Head, and Sanguisugabog, or The Bog, as death metal fans would know them. So, I mean, that goes past impressive. That's just borderline suspicious. And I wouldn't want to call anyone an industry plant, mostly because there's no money in death metal, so why would you have an industry plant? Like, why would the industry waste money on that? So I assume someone has loaded parents. But hey, you know what they say? Don't hate the player, hate the game. So let's look at this album as an album and not as a collection of investments. And I gotta say, and as always, throw that bad boy up on Screen Editor. This album cover is sick. I love it. It invokes so much obituary to me, mostly like Cause of Death with that cooler color scheme, but it's got elements of their other albums in there too. I think it's a great style to use. It creates a link in your mind before you even hear a note. You see that and you're like, oh man, I'm getting into death metal and I'm already thinking about obituary. I'm feeling pretty pumped up about it because to me, personally, Obituary are peak death metal. I know a lot of people would say Death and, maybe Cannibal Corpse or something like that. The real big names in the genre, for me, it's Obituary. But under the fancy wrapping, let's get into it. I've already touched on the collaborations, and I just want to say outright, I don't think they improved the album outside of its media reach. Invoke War is a good song, it stands on its own, and Machine Head's contributions are barely noticeable. The same could be said about Dreadnought, which has the bog on it. It's, again, like, if you didn't tell me there was a guest vocalist on that, I wouldn't have picked it up. It doesn't sound unique enough to think that a backing vocalist in the band could have done it. There's not any of those band styles really influencing the song. I don't listen to them and be like, oh wow, yeah, this is like death metal meets The Blackening. It just apparently has some Machine Head in there somewhere. I couldn't tell you where. The only one that's really notable is Gerard Way's black metal vocals, and he is a good black metal vocalist. They do add flavor to the track, the title track, but they're not special. Really, any other black metal vocalist could have done it, but only Gerard Way could have given you the reach online that My Chemical Romance's name being attached to your death metal album could give you. So if the collabs are a bit meh, what's good about it? The guitars! There is some really decent riffs throughout this album, and they can write big, attention-grabbing sections. I don't care for the vocal style, I get the draw of that big cavernous sound, but to me it sounds tinny. I'd much prefer something a bit fuller, a bit more bass in it, give it more punch. For me, that cavernous sound was kind of cool the first time I heard it because it was a bit different, and then I saw dozens of bands doing it, and at that point it just became another style, and a lesser style at that. I really think it's the inferior vocal style in death metal. Not to say that the vocalist is bad at it, they're great at it, it's just not a style I care for. Lyrically, I love this album. It does what the Corpse Grinder solo album did for me. There's a lot of kind of just fun, dumb lyrics that don't take themselves too seriously. Especially looking at the last track, Killing Time, it really feels like something that could have been on that Corpse Grinder solo album, and that probably puts it at my favorite track on No Place of Warmth. And on repeat lessons as well, as I pick up more and more of it, there is just kind of knuckle dragging fun to it. Real just smash your head against the wall levels of brutality. This ain't no thinking man riff. This is caveman riff. And we love caveman riff. I feel like maybe the first time I listened to this album, I did a bit of a disservice because I did it back to back with Archspire's new album, see my previous review, and that really just did a lot more in the space of death metal than this did, and that's hard to be stacked up against Archspire. But where I think it's still a fair comparison to make is that that was a longer album that felt shorter because it was just so interesting that you're locked in and it just blows by. This, while I mentioned it does have some really awesome guitar parts, it also has some really repetitive and long guitar parts. So it leads to a shorter album that just feels longer overall, and not in a good way, more in a, checking your watch way of being like, ah man, are we still on this song? Let's get to the next one already. And luckily that's broken up enough. There are enough interesting songs interspersed with those ones that drag on that the album doesn't feel like a slog at any point. But yes, certain songs do feel like a slog. I guess while I gave them a pass for, not stacking up to Archfire, it does further cement to me that all these collaborations and all the hype I see around this band is purely bought because no one I know in my network of friends who listen to metal listen to Frozen Soul, talk about Frozen Soul, except every time I see a media piece, it's like, oh, Frozen Soul, check them out, and look at all these cool collaborations they've done. I'm like, it just feels artificial. And then to listen to me, I'm like, this is good, but like 5 bands in Melbourne are this good in death metal, and none of them are being picked up to do collaborations with, arena-sized bands like My Chemical Romance. So it just really feels put on and not organic. But hey, maybe they're just good friends with the right people. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how this came to be. To me it does not feel organic, that's for sure. So overall, I enjoyed this album, honestly. Despite what I think about the band and calling them an industry plant or calling them, paying for their fans or any of that shit, the album itself is good. I think if you're a death metal fan, it's worth a listen. It's probably worth 2 listens because I enjoyed it a lot more on my second time as I was, a little bit more familiar with it. I think the first time I only liked like 1 or 2 songs, and then the second time through I liked about 5 songs. I'm already halfway into the album. I just think, yeah, it was that first initial taste of like, let's see why this is so good that festival headliners are wanting to collaborate with this band. And at the end of it, I'm like, oh, well, I didn't see that. Let's give it another listen and just see if it stacks up against my local scene. And then I gave that a listen. I'm like, yeah, it's alright. It's pretty good. There's better stuff in my backyard, but this is pretty good. And at the end of the day, with the whole playing the media algorithm day, and me being a bit of a hope core optimist type, uh, this will probably get some people into extreme metal. There will be people who, from that emo pop punk background, who will see Gerard Way on this if they haven't already checked out Ibaraki, and go listen to their first death metal band. It'll be Frozen Soul. There will be worse entry points into death metal than Frozen Soul. They're a perfectly okay band to be your first death metal band. And hey, they're young and they're active. You'll be able to go see them, support them, grow with them. I think that's great. And from there, you might launch into it. You might go, oh, cool, Frozen Soul's awesome. This death metal's pretty cool. Maybe you'll go check out Obituary. Maybe you'll check out Death. Maybe you'll check out other bands that are, more recent and relevant and stuff. Maybe you'll go find younger bands, local bands. So this is probably a good thing for the scene. This will probably get more people into death metal. And yeah, like I said, there's worse places to be in death metal than listening to Frozen Soul, No Place of Warmth. And just as a little final note, I love the No Place of Warmth, the Frost Forged, Absolute Zero, No Place of Warmth, and it's on their older stuff too. There's a lot of cold puns. It feels very Mr. Freeze played by Arnie, and I love that. It's my favorite Batman movie. So yeah, final note, Frozen Soul, No Place of Warmth, good album, probably doesn't live up to the names that are attached to it. And hey, if they are actually paying their way to the top and buying positive media, I will take down this video and put up a glowing review for $100 and a long sleeve XL, please. And until I get that, or until next time, I hope that you stay warm. If you're in my city or my hemisphere, it's winter. You're probably cold, like I am. And otherwise, Till next time, peace out.